Hi everyone. It's been a long time since I've done a video. Partly because I've been really ill over Christmas. Fortunately, things that, with being an amputee and other physical conditions and whatnot, and I've had major chest infections all over Christmas, and I've been away as well. So I'm back now. The tail end of last season, I ended up finishing third in the unlimited racing solo. Now, that was all right. That was a bit of a surprise to me because there was a couple of events I couldn't go to, and I had problems with the bike, which was due to pathetic, silly little issues that the bike ended up doing. Like the oil pipe that joins, if you've got 14s and you've had a good luck, the oil pipe that goes from the sump, that goes sprays oil to the bottom of the pistons. The bolt for that, for some reason, sheared some of the alley off, shot out, I threw the oil pipe out, which then spewed my oil down the track and killed my crank and one of my big ends. So luckily enough, the rods were okay, so I had to have it rebuilt again. Before that round, I ended up having a breakdown with the van on the way to racing, and the gearbox, auto gearbox, 5-speed auto box on the Mercedes Sprinters. What they call it's like speed, like solenoid type things that help you engage gear and stuff like that, all failed. So the gear was in at the time, third, it wouldn't change up, wouldn't change down. When I stopped, tried again, put it in first, clunk, it wouldn't change up. So ended up missing around on there. Got it fixed just before the next round, took the bike, and that's when the oil pipe went. Missed obviously that round. At the time, my times were like high 9s, maybe low 10s, and that was because it was still damp, and I was spinning up all over the show on that. But later on the day it got dry, and unfortunately I didn't even qualify for the lanes or anything, but I couldn't run them in anyway. Well, I can in theory. What I can do is, at some points, I can take the bike up to the line with my leathers on and everything, push it to stage. Once it's staged, lights go, I pull back, lose that one, but at least hit the points for turning up on that. But I didn't even qualify because of the thingy anyway. Next round after that, bike wasn't quite running right. By the time with the engine back running and everything, there was a bit of a misfire. Found out what it was in the end. One of the spark plugs for some reason broken down, and fine just before, but put a new set of spark plugs in, modified them for the nitrous, so there's not too many earth arms over the top, which can get nitrous hot spots and then melt. So got that running right again for the next round, which was then Santa Pod finals. Went there, did 4 practice runs on Saturday. Times were coming down nicely, down to about 9.5 at the time. It was still a bit cold and wasn't damp, obviously, because they dried the track, but it was damp elsewhere. And on the Sunday, on championship round, it rained and then rained and then rained, so we didn't get to run. So my 9-1 index championship, I ended up finishing, what was it, 5th in that? Was it 4th or 5th? 5th. 1, 2, 3. No, 4th in that. And in the unlimited CC racing solo, finished 3rd. Now that would have been absolutely brill, considering I lost a lot of rounds in that, but I did do well. I won 3 unlimited racing solo classes on the trot last year, and I won 1 9-1 index, but I was always there about, in the semis, final maybe, but I did get beaten in the final a couple of times in that, or down to my starts. Now, to the job in hand. Got to get the race bike, the drag bike ready. I've still got the H2 to do because of major issues on that. Now, what I found is trying to run the 2018 ECU, loom and everything. We're having major problems getting it to run right. It sounds like an engine rattle, but it's not. I've had it looked at again. But it seems to be, they seem to think it's an electrical mismatch on components. Now, change the ECU, the loom, the clocks, everything. The only thing, after doing a bit of research over winter, is the throttle bodies are slightly different on the 2018. The part number's different. I don't know what the actual difference is. It could be the stepper motors or whatever for the traction control, because obviously the traction control on the 18 one's far better than the 15 one. Now, trying to have a look to get one of them, you talk about £3,500 from Kawasaki. Now, I ain't really got that funds at the moment, so we've got a couple of options. give a shout out if any of you know of the 2018 H2 being broken with the throttle bodies that are fine, and give us a shout. I'll try and see if we can get them at a better price. Otherwise, I'm going to revert back to the 2015 Loom ECU clocks for this season of racing. The bike's still going to make over 300 horse. We made 297 last time at the rear wheel in a 40-degree dyno room, so we reckoned it would have been over 300 then. But we've had the cams modified a little bit, and what else have we done? It's just the cams, and I might change. I need to find out. I'm totally being honest here, like, you know, some of the stuff I don't particularly know. The H2 ECU, now I've heard rumours that it'll only let you go up to around about 30 boost, 30 psi boost, I think it is. So I've got stage 3 gears in now. Let's make 297. I want to put stage 4 in, but the only thing I'm concerned about, or I'm not sure about, and some of you out there may know, is whether the ECU is not going to give me any benefit from it. Is it going to dump the boost before it makes enough? Does the ECU ever stop on it? But they're making stage 4 gears now. Whether that's advertising ploy or whatever, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to get it on the dyno and see what it does. If it dumps the boost, then we'll might have to swap to the stage 3 ones. Unfortunately, I've got to put a full. I still have the full Acropovic exhaust. I really would like a Vandermon exhaust, but the advertised at 120 dB. Our racing, we're not allowed any higher than 104 dB. So I'm running the full Acropovic system with the long can on, and I've got the baffle to go in if it doesn't quite make it, you know, the removable baffle. But I think it made 97 last time out, so it should be okay. The only problem is last time out on the flyby I was rattling the friggin' thingies, but I found out afterwards. Oh, the steam coming off my head. Is that steam coming off my head? Breath. Cold in this garage, very cold. Shouldn't be in here. Is I had an exhaust nut come off, so it was blowing from the headers. I still made 199.78 with a blowing exhaust at the front, and couldn't get into 6th gear. I had an issue with my electronic gear change, which I found out what the problem is. But anyway, I'll show you what I've done to the drag bike, and I'll also tell you what I'm going to do. So I'll turn the camera around and I'll give you a bit of whatnot of what's going on and all that. Okay, see you in a bit. That's recording. Right, hi. I've been trying to figure out how my gimbal was going to be working. Right, here, I'm just going to show you first here my thumb brake. I was having an issue with my thumb brake. I do thumb brake here, and obviously it goes off to there. And I've done that because of I have to launch with my right leg on the deck. Now, because I launch with the right leg on the deck, I can't get on the rear brake to give it a bit of drag to bring the front wheel down if it wheelies too much. So went for a thumb brake, and there's the thumb brake. And what it was leaking from here, and all this was like leaking up, sort of thing. But it wasn't this one. I had it was like a green one that was given to me. So I ended up taking that little threaded thing out there. I can't remember what it's called. One of you will know. And there's an O-ring at the bottom, but the O-ring didn't seem to be doing the job. It still seemed to be leaking through the thread. So I've got a slightly thicker O-ring. I use Viton O-rings, really good O-rings. And I put a very, very thin film of blue thread lock on the thread, just trying to seal the thread. Then I got a Brembo 10mm hose and a Brembo master cylinder reservoir. Now, originally I had another one coming off here and sitting there, and it was pretty much touching that. So I decided to put a bracket on and put that one more in a position where it's more out the way of the screen, because this one was catching the screen. Got a few things to tighten up, and it seems to fit really well at the moment. Now, going on to something else. This here, most of you will probably know, is probably a shift light or a warning light. All right. Now you can see it's white haze because that's a bit of super glue. I'm going to try, because I did try and just double side it, and it ended up coming off with the cold weather. So I've super glued it to there. Now what it is, the problem I had at where the oil spewed itself and then the oil warning light come on, which is one of these up here somewhere. one of these up here, either there or that side, I can't remember. Well, what happened is that oil light comes on around about 2 psi of oil pressure. So I didn't want that to happen again. I want to try and, if anything, save the engine if anything happens. So what I've decided to do is fit a warning light there, and then I'm putting a T-piece in to, I've got an oil pressure gauge there, which we're monitoring from a GoPro to see what it runs at. Now it should be over 100 psi. I think it's rated about 110, the upgrade one I've done. But the other oil pressure gauge I had failed on me. But anyway, got that stack on there. And I'll fit in a 32 psi oil pressure switch. And I'm going to have this rigged up to this. So when the pressure drops below 32 psi, it'll flash up on that. And if we shut the engine off, then there's a good chance I might still save the engine because there'll still be pressure going around all the internals. That may flicker when we're on tick over, when the engine's warm. I've been told that by a guy who does a lot of top speed stuff, and that's where he advised me on that. So that's what that's going to be. I've got to wire that in yet and put the pressure gauge, pressure sensor on and that. And also, I did have another shift light over here. Come out somewhere where this came out somewhere where this Brembo thing did anyway. But what I've decided is I get a stage type one where it comes on green, amber, and then red to shift. Now I'm trying to find somewhere to fit that. I'm not sure whether if I heat that up I can bend it and shape it to mold to sit on the top of here, which would be ideal, or make a bracket to make it sit a bit further out there, which is another thought I'm thinking of doing. Anyway, I can set, it says here, it's got a little button on the back, it's got a little bit computer thingy in it. What you do is you rev up to, you press the buttons here for something like the type of bike you've got or car you've got, so many cylinders. Then, when I come to do it, I'll show you exactly what I do. But apparently you set it, so like your first set RPM, say if I set 9,000 RPM, oh, the camera's pointing the wrong way, 9,000 RPM, these lights start staging, so it'll go like green, 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 red, orange, and then when it gets to 10,500, it'll be getting into the red zone. So it gives you a bit of warning rather than just coming on at the RPM. This will stage up to it, so it'll catch my attention and then give me a little bit of a chance to put the gear change at optimum rather than just past where my optimum RPM is. Now this bike, the way it's tuned, ideally I make enough more horsepower at 11,500, but running at that RPM all the time, the engine life will go. So I'm thinking we'll set it about 10.8 to start coming. By the time I've reacted, it'll be just on 11 hopefully, or just over 11. Anyway, that's what that's going to be done. Going back to everything else, I have now, trying to turn the camera, there we go. I have now fitted, back again. I have fitted a fuse box. Now this fuse box, got a little button there, pushes it off. I put 4 fuses in. Now this red stuff is like a spray that seals any electrical components. So obviously that is live, that terminal there. I was trying to get a bung to go over the top of it, I can't find anything. I'll still look around because that's what I ideally want to do, is like, you know, like one of those terminal ones that go over on a battery. Now obviously because of fuses being here, the bolt that's secured there, I wanted to seal that as well so there's no arc across it, even though it's only going into plastic. Now, but anyway, I've got, at the moment there's going to be 3 on this. There's going to be, I've put relays in the back here, in the panel here. They come through pretty much underneath there. There's the 2 wires, and the other wires go to where they need to. Now, what I've wired in is a fuse for the nitrous controller. It's in here. I'll show you again if you've all forgotten. Max Extreme Nitrous Controller. Now that, one's going to be fused for that, one's going to be fused for the heaters, bottle heaters for the nitrous, and one of the others is going to be fitting a fuel pump, external fuel pump. Now people wonder why when you've got an internal one on the bike. Well, what it is, when I'm planning on going a lot more nitrous than what I'm actually running. I'm running about 70 shot of nitrous, 70 horse as you call it, but I want to go a lot more, about to 100 first and try that. Now what happens then, you start straining your own fuel pump, because it puts in fuel from the same pump when you add the nitrous to compensate for the extra nitrous oxide, which is like the air sort of thing. So people buying advice put an external fuel pump in to just run the nitrous and have that fuse there. These are the wires for this so far, or not well plumbed in properly yet, but I have plumbed in the relay. So the plan is to fit that. I might not have it done ready for the beginning of the season. I've got ANNs, braided lines, and I've got a plan of changing all my fuel lines to the throttle bodies to braided as well, stainless steel braided. I have got the adapters that connect onto the original factory type style ends that go onto the throttle bodies and onto into the tank. So that's another plan for another job. So, but also, if you look here, you've probably noticed, got a launch master. Now that's a launch control facility. You set it by these two screws here. That's 1000 RPM, that's 100 RPM. These screws here to what RPM you want to launch at. Now I've set it at about 6000. I will turn it down for testing it. I have tested it at 3000. It seems to work quite fine. What it is to try and get me 60 foots down. Now it works off your clutch switch. Now when your clutch switch, when you have your clutch in, when you disengage and you hit that switch, there, yeah. When you hit that, then that will disengage the launch control, so it'll go from 6000 RPM to whatever your throttle's at. Now, experimenting wise, you could have full throttle. Obviously, that is. Turn it that way. That is where it's closed throttle. That's half throttle, 3/4, and full throttle. We've got very, very quick action. Now, you can set it and try it at half throttle. Even at half throttle, it could be quite a heavy kick. Or you can try it 3/4 throttle and then full throttle. Because what you can do is, when you launch control, go to 3/4 throttle, hit the RPM you want, go release, then it'll only go 3/4 throttle until you go to the rest of it. Now it's a little bit of an experiment chance to see what happens, but I've marked it on there. And so that's pretty much it. So I'm going to get off. I'm going to oh yeah, I've tidied up where the nitrous lines come down to. I've adjusted the gauge, trying to get what we're back into. I've put an angle on the gauge and put the gauge out so you can see it better, and I've tidied up this nitrous line to be further up on the rear chassis, rather than it was coming down close to that. And then we've got these two for these two bottles. May well go away from those bottles at some point, because I do have underneath, you can see the bracket there. Oh, if we go down, round hole bracket there, that is for a 2.5 pound bottle. I do have a 4.4 pound bottle coming. That's for top speed, and you see where the fuel heater wires come out now through the plastic on the thingy, so there's no chance of rubbing. And the other one comes off out here somewhere as well. Plastic. There. That's for these bottles. Right, I'm going to get off, we'll do the job, come back and charge this gimbal thing back up. It's just gone off, that's why that went like that. Sorry about that. Thought it was charged, but obviously not. Right, speak to you again shortly. Goodbye. As you can see, the shift light is now just above the clock, so should be able to just still see the clock's there, but the shift light is there. I'm hoping it's this way around. The switch is at the back. I'm going to have to set it up and then put it on, so that's only on double-sided tape at the moment, but that is angle brackets. It's got double-sided on it, and I've also put a little screw in, but I obviously didn't want to go too far in case there's any electronics inside. Right, so that's the shift lights there. Looks okay. The screen will come, and it normally gives you a bit of an air gap just above like that, so that'll be ideal position for it. Probably make it a bit more central and straight, because it might annoy me. So that was done, but on the other side, at the back, this is, I say, a temporary, just to try it out. We have L brackets, double-sided on the L bracket, and a screw in. Now I've used a lot of penny washers, 4 penny washers on each side, to make the screw not as long, with small screws I could get, which are quite small anyway, just so it's not going to protrude any electronics on the other side. It may be totally free in there, but unless I strip it and have a look, I'm not 100% sure. Someone may know if they've stripped one, to see how much space. If there's a lot of space there, I can take penny washers on, put it straight in. Now that seems, except for the double-sided on that, it's quite secure. I'm going to tape that, or put a little clip in there to hold that, so if it did come off over the vibrations, it won't go anywhere and annoy me. Then I can sort it out. But as I say, temporary at the moment until we see how it works. So that was that. The oil pressure thing is all connected back up again. I will show you down here what I done. You can get down smooth enough. With being an amputee, it's always a bit tricky. Right, here we go. Zoom up. Right, hopefully you might be able to see. No, and then again, might not be able to see, actually too high. There we go. You can see there's a T-piece in there now. If you can see it, I might see if I can highlight it on there. And then that sensor on the top, which I need 2 terminals for, which I'm going to make for full length first. One, I'm thinking what I'm going to use is, one's going to be ignition live, going to it, so it will send power to it, right. And then the other one will go to the light, and then the light should be earthed, I assume, and then we should have, once that decides the pressure's too low, it should make a connection and then put the light on. Hoping that's the way it will work, and we'll find out anyway once the wiring's done. So also, I say with that done, I just tidied up a few things really. I'm going to take the light from here. This is the side light. So from the side light switch wiring, I will put 2 lives from there. One is going to be for the shift light, and one for the oil pressure thing, and that'll be my next job, but that'll be tomorrow. Okay, thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you again shortly.